I really welcome to all the audience and the great speaker. We really feel honored to invite each and every panel member as well as the entire audience for today's important discussions. And you know, it's a kind of an industry problem of the great resignation. So how the employer branding and what is the importance of employer branding in the era of the resignations, that's we're gonna discuss today. And as we see in the industry, this is the current issues for each and every organizations. And today we're gonna learn from our expert panel on this particular topic. So we really excited to learn on this particular topic. Digital HR is a community, HR community organize the knowledge sharing sessions on the various HR programs basically. So whether it's a talent acquisition, whether it's the learning and development, or diversity and inclusions. So all the aspects of the HR that we cover in the digital HR community through various webinar as well as the master classes and the editorial forms of blogs and articles from the industry speaker. Today's topic is really important for everyone, and we really excited to know more and more from our industry speakers on this particular side. And I would like to invite Nainesh to take this particular session ahead by inviting the speakers. Yes, Nainesh.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ritesh. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all the participants and our partners. This event has been organized by NextGen Innovate, our academic partners, ASM, employer branding partner are Cobers, learning and development partner is iSkillbox, our community partner HR Shapers, digital partner FMA Digital, our academia community partner ASMA, and our AI partner ORAI. So let me tell you a little bit about NextGen Innovate. NextGen Innovate is actually a platform which works, which do different kind of events, where it is conferences, customized events, awards and felicitation and rankings, logo branding, and panel speaker or keynote opportunities, newsletter, emailers, YouTube videos, and everything. So we work on 4 different communities. One of that is ASMA, which focuses on academia, which has an outreach of 1,20,000 plus. Then digital HR, on which we are presently doing the symposium, which will be a monthly event is going to happen, which has outreach of 35,000 plus. Then ADMH, which focuses on healthcare outreach, and SMX, which focuses on SMB and entrepreneurs and sales and marketing professionals outreach. So as Ritesh has informed about digital HR, let me give you a little brief on that. Digital HR has 35,000 plus HRs in 10 city chapters. It is a community platform for HR professionals. It is a leading community platform and aiming digital transformation and innovation in HR practices. Among its many applications, one of the most focus area that we have identified at Digital HR is digital employer branding, and it has tremendous impact on the entire value chain. Moving ahead on our second community, ASMA. ASMA is a thought leadership platform which focuses on academia and harness the power of digital growth. It has a network of 15,000 plus leading universities, 25,000 plus preschools and school, 10,000 plus decision makers and key stakeholders, and it has a strong academic community of 1,20,000 plus. And we are running different events under our community ASMA. Then our digital partner FMA Digital, it is a award-winning digital marketing company which works for premier universities and institutions. And without disturbing more, I will like to, take this into the subject. Our today's subject is importance of employer branding in the era of great resignation. This subject is very important nowadays, and because after the 2020, this has been brought up very much importance, and our panelists are the experts who will give a brief to us on this subject. By this, I would like to welcome our first panelist, Smrita Dubey. She's a Chief People Officer at Infosys. And Smrita Dubey is the Chief People Officer of Infosys Technologies. He's a seasoned HR leader with sharp business acumen and rich experience in various leading organizations such as Infosys, Sterlite Technologies, Reliance, Retail, and Hewlett Packard. She has a rich experience in all facets of HR, including leadership development, compensation and benefits, performance and talent management, people and analytics, and driving organizational uh, transformation. So welcome, Smita. Our second panelist is Abhijit Puri, the Senior Director, QLogic Technologies and LTI Company, handles global operations and talent transformation. Abhijit is he is a HR leader with nearby 20 years of multicultural and diverse and global experience. He has expertise in areas of operations, revenue generation, strategic HR, talent acquisition, recruitment, resource management, L&D, employee engagement, performance management, culture building, policy development in various industry domains in product engineering services, organizations in IT and IT sector. He has been a president of HRIA and is a member of several HR communities. He has been a guest lecturer at IIM, Indian Institute of Management, on the role of analytics in HR. Our third panelist, Manashi Kumar. She's at head talent acquisition at Benett Coleman Company Limited. As a corporate leader and HR strategist, she has been managing business and teams throughout her career with focus on creating winning teams and successful organizations. She has worked across a number of sectors and industries, from retail and data measurement to broadcast, media, and entertainment. Manashi Kumar served as a Chief of People and Strategy with BARC India and Group Head and Senior Vice President of Neo Sports, where she was instrumental in transforming the organization's employer brand strategy. Let's welcome Manashi Kumar. Our fourth panelist, Dr. Pratima Chevre. She's a former director of SCM HRD, founder and director EVAS Learning Private Limited. She has a PhD in management from Symbiosis International deemed university in custom management and experimental marketing. She is UGC net qualified in management and is also qualified independent director as per MCA.
Yogesh, I believe Nanesh is dropped out or some problem.
Yeah, I think so. I am not. So, hi, Ritesh, Adnan. I think Nainesh is not here. I think there's some connectivity issue. Nainesh, are you back? Do you want me to take over here from here? If Nanish is not available, should we wait?
Yes.
Ritesh, yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Yes, you can take it from here.
Okay, so that's my introduction. Yeah, so I'm working.
Yeah,
with class. Yeah.
Yogesh, can you hear
Hey,
me?
Nanish. Yes, you're back, Nanish. Good to see you.
No, I think there is some
That's
network
Ritesh,
issues
right?
in management. You can take it ahead.
Okay. So I don't know. I think if the slide can go back, I think Nanish was introducing the previous speaker. Yeah, Dr. Pratima. So we have Dr. Pratima, and she was a former director at SCHMRD, I think one of the institutions that has produced finest HR leaders, and I met many. There are a couple of them who are my friend as well. So welcome, Dr. Pratima. It's great to have you here. And we also, I think, I really don't, I was not really following who all have been introduced. If it's about me, then I have got around 20 years of work experience overall. I'm currently with eClerks, and I'm heading the talent acquisition for financial market, and also a piece on employer branding. And along with that, I have some other responsibilities as well. And I've been instrumental in employer branding from long. And I had got good opportunity to actually work with Ritesh, Adnan, and Rahul also in Cobers, where I have consulted few of the projects in last 2 years with them on employer branding. So friends, here we are. And Ritesh, I hope I have covered all the speaker. And I was not really following like if
Yes, you have.
all of them are covered. Perfect. Thank you, Abhijit. So it's good to see you all, guys. Welcome again. And I clearly see there are around 28 participants apart from the speakers and other panel members here. And it's great to have you all. Like Rahul, Ramesh, Yastela, Rishali. So many of you are here. Okay, so look, we will going to spend around an hour together in this discussion, and I would love to see all of you participating here, right? So chat window is right here in front of me, and ensure that, whatever we are discussing here in the panel, you are participating equally like us. Please do tell us what you think about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be continuously looking at the chat window, and I'll be asking your questions to all the panelists, right? So panelists, welcome to this discussion, and we should start now. So I would like, so we have a topic, and Ritesh has already spoken about it, and before I come to the topic to all of them, I think we all had a kind of roller coaster ride in pandemic area and at pandemic era, and we have seen, especially for HR, I think 2.5 years, 3 years back, we really didn't know that we would be doing this, what we are doing now, right? Whether it is, and it's irrespective of whether you are in talent acquisition like Manashi we have, or whether it's Smrita or Abhijit or, Dr. Pratima, maybe she comes from academic, but we all have seen that transformation and the way we are, way we actually reacted to the things, because we never expected that this was going to happen. Because when it was starting up, when I was talking to other leaders, we would be thinking, maybe, there would be too many, we may have to lay off, or the industry will going to come down and everything. And suddenly after 6 to 8 months, we saw that great resignation era, right? Where we all were fighting to hire people from everywhere, right? And we saw resignation just going like that, where even the traditional industries where we had 10% attrition, it moved up to 30%, 40%, 50%. So we dealt with it. And I think we have done well as an HR. And it's not just this. I think our panelists can bring in some more perspective, what they've gone through, whether it's logistics, whether it's how to manage not just the attrition, but the well-being, the culture, how to manage remote workers. 50% of IT workers today, they work remotely. I work remotely. I'm sitting somewhere right in central India. Some of you might not have known the city or know the city name as well. So this is all we have gone through. And so I would like to start with this. I would like to start with this great resignation era, and how employer branding really helped. I want to bring in both the point here. How did we really be able to manage attrition? has a brand as an employer helped us, or it didn't help at all, right? Or maybe the people who are going, they were going everywhere, right? So I would like to know the perspective of the panelist here. How did they really dealt with it in last 2 years, and what do they really think about this great resignation, this attrition era? How will it be same what it was in 2 years? Will it remain the same what it is today? And how are we prepared for this, for the same? So maybe I would like to go to Smrita, and I would like to start with Smrita, being in head HR. What do you think, Smrita? How it really worked for you, and how have you been able to manage to sail through and get your success?
So Yogesh, I think we're still sailing through the same, but it's not yet over. But just to briefly, talk about, I was reading a study the other day that as per an MIT study, more than 24 million people in US quit their jobs in 2021 within just 3 months, from April to September. And we still see a lot of people looking out, continuously looking out. So like you said, did brand matter? Because we saw this attrition which was across the board. The best of the companies, be it in India, if you look at it, all our IT, the top IT companies had. Even if you look at it in US and other companies, Goldman Sachs had huge attrition. All the companies, irrespective of the industry they were in. And I think that's because of a very big change which happened in the organizational, the way the organizations were working. Like Yogesh, you touched upon the fact that you are working remotely. So from continuously working in office like a factory mindset, suddenly we changed into a remote work where people realize that with technology, it is still possible to deliver a lot of value to the organizations. But with that came other challenge where organizations were not prepared. Right now, if you look at it, when you are sitting at the screen for 8-9 hours, continuously staring at it, there is a difference. I mean, how do you actually build the connections within the organizations? So I feel there's a lot of change which has happened. Like you mentioned, people, I strongly believe, I've always believed that people don't leave due to salary, they leave due to culture, they leave due to the managers, they leave due to, probably not seeing their jobs, evolve over a period of time. So at least my initial thoughts, Yogesh, are that as we focus as an organization on our culture, as we focus on giving our employees a career, not just a job, an entire end-to-end career, we will see that this is going to slowly start coming down. And I think all of us are together here because we know that this is a problem. We're acknowledging it, and we know that we have to evolve.
Right, Smrita, very rightly said, and I think we all have evolved further. But maybe I would like to go to Abhijit, and my question remains the same, Abhijit. And but I would like to add on a little here, like especially with respect to the attrition, right, and the backfilling. I think we all have struggled here, where either the talent is not available, or so. Can you just would like to tell us, maybe your brand as an employer, do you think it really helped you attract better talent compared to your competitor, or do you think that it doesn't matter, or do you think that you really need to, you worked hard in last 2 years, what you really did that differentiated you as a company compared to your competition to attract better talent?
Thank you, Yogesh, for giving me an opportunity to answer this question. So first of all, I would like to specify something over here is during pandemic, a lot of people started trying to explore and know their inner self, okay, their connect with their families, their loved ones, and trying to see what really matters. Does it really matter the 9 to 6 job, or the togetherness of with their loved ones or their families? So this came out when we saw a lot of families, a lot of people losing their loved ones and all. So this actually gave another perspective for every person who is working, that whether only the money matters, or a particular company matters, or the job matters. So in this, a lot of companies were struggling to, first of all, to retain the current customers that they were having. And there was also a spur of business growth because multiple other countries stopped transforming or giving their services towards the bigger clients due to this pandemic aspects. And being India, being one of the digital hub over here, emerged as a digital hub, I can say. This gave us a lot of opportunities for all the companies to work around the clock and get more people. And because of the better connectivity of India having digital connectivity within different remote locations also, this has helped all of us to work from any location, let it be anywhere in the northeast or west or south, anywhere. So, but with this came up a bigger challenge, that a person sitting in, let's say, if you look at the hiring trends, Pune salary ranges are a little bit less comparatively to Bangalore, right? And then comparatively to a different structure with Hyderabad. So every employee got an opportunity to work for any employer within the country from anywhere. So that disrupted the whole comp and ben structure within the organizations. And to retain the talent, or you can say to attract new talent, what could we do differently? That is something that when I hire someone, right, I always tell, I don't sell jobs, I sell careers to a person. So I sell a dream where they can see themselves that what is it going to make their life different from just doing a 9 to 6 job? What is the value addition or a proposition that they are going to bring to the table when they're doing a particular role? So let me just give a very small example or a story over here. It's like, let's say there is some electronic manufacturing chip company is manufacturing a small chip. Okay, they are just doing some kind of semiconductor or something towards that chip. They are just producing that part, but they don't know where that chip is going to fit in. And one time an airplane is going on and it gets into a crash. That point of time, what is the biggest thing that they look into whenever an airplane crashes out? It's a black box, right? And in that black box, how that particular airplane crashed down and what happened due to which it crashed down. So imagine the particular company which was creating that semiconductor chip, right? So that is the value of that particular employee creating while they were building that kind of a black box. So if you try to showcase that value proposition, that importance to every employee, how an organization to look at, or what is the bigger picture that they have been hired for, then I believe that attracting a talent will be a little bit on the better side that we have seen. And this is what we sell when we always try to attract new candidates.
Really interesting, Abhijit. Like I remember, like when we were kids, we have been told, a story. There were two people. One was building a wall, and there was another guy who was building a Taj Mahal. So we clearly can see who will work harder and will the one who really understand the bigger picture. So that brings me to a very important part again, is to retain the talent. And I think both of you have touched on how to retain the talent and also in terms of attrition. But I would like to understand something from Dr. Pratima as well. Since she understands the psyche of students and she has been working with students all life, right? I would like to know, Dr. Pratima, like when you are talking about when in an industry, when we are talking about attrition, when we are talking about talent and how to retain the talent, as an academia, how do you really see that? How do you think that for you it matters? What matters more, a company, its brand, or the career, or the growth, or the kind of package that company provide? Because when we go to the institute nowadays, I most of the time, we just have been asked, what package we're gonna offer, and accordingly we get our slots. But I would really like to know your perspective around it.
Okay, the placement team is not going to love me too much if I start talking about, the general pecking order. But, what I truly want to sort of put out in terms of perspective here is that the students today, I don't think they're students really, in the sense of they've all, especially at SMHRD. So if you're looking at the premier business schools, then there are, the kind of crowd that will come here is very, very different. So they have work experience. They have, they're slightly older. The average age is about 24, 25, thereabouts. What matters to them Brand, yes. Package, yes. Both. Okay. The only possibly being from just a graduate, so GET versus an MD. So if I have to compare those, and I presume all your organizations are hiring both, then the ability of the GET to stick around is probably a little tough. Okay, whereas a management trainee will pick that job and stay in that job, right? It's does the brand matter? Very much. So the legacy recruiters, the legacy brands, the big brands, you know, in the FMCG, investment banking, now even tech has become very, very important. At one point in time, tech was not so important because a lot of them come from tech. 85% of the class is engineers. So, but they're comfortable now going back to tech because tech is everywhere. You know, whether you're looking at finance, insurance, FMCG, and analytics, and all of that. So it's in the midst of all of that. So yes, the short answer to your question: does brand matter? Does salary matter? Or the CTC matter? Both, but brand tends to be a little more important. We've had quite a few new age companies come in offering big packages, and the students have not been very keen. So, you know, when you guys face the Great Resignation is when the institution went through 2 rounds of placements. One in 20 when they were already placed, and then they joined virtually. And so there was a fair amount of delay, and some offers were revoked and all of that. But the good thing was they got placed again. In 21, the cycle changed completely. In 22, I mean, we thought because of the change, there would be a difference in the way the hiring was going to happen. No, we had companies, and so we had a very happy problem, which is more companies and more offers and not as many students. Okay.
Yeah,
so it was a happy problem.
I agree with you, Dr. I think now, yes, Manashi wants to come in. So Manashi, yes, I have some, you know, one more question. I want to add one more question along with this topic. You're on mute right now. Yeah. Manashi, you're on mute.
I wanted to add to what Dr.
Please,
said.
go ahead.
Very interesting. And we see that challenge at Benett also, you know. And what is very interesting to note is it is not the tangible compensation that Dr. Pratima was talking about, which is, of course, you know, how much money you get on the table will always be important. The narrative has changed to the intangible. And when I talk about intangible, here is the pause, you know, the great button, the pause that happened because of the pandemic. And, you know, people, as Dr. Abhijit was saying, people got time to rethink their life and refresh their goals, what is important, what is not important. And they got the courage to kind of speak out, you know, because they've seen the worst ever that everybody has gone through. So coming to what people are looking at and what I can see from my experience is the total rewards. So one is the compensation, but total rewards and what is the philosophy of a total rewards in your company? They want to know what elements constitute not the tangible but the intangible is extremely vital for a person. You know, especially the youngsters who are joining the workflows, even youngsters who have experience, because I think they're making very thoughtful choices. And when you are thinking so hard, and you know, when there is a great resignation, which according to me is a great movement, because I don't think it's a great resignation. It's a great movement because people are now aligning themselves, not only in terms of organization values, but what value they would like to have. So, you know, there has to be alignment of my value and the organizational value. And there comes the total rewards. And I think total rewards as an element, as a package, is what I think all HR people and have to kind of have a solutional mindset to kind of rethink what they can offer, given the context in the organization. So I think that is very key. So I just wanted to add that to Dr. Pratima's point, if she agrees.
Yes,
So-
yes, Manashi, I completely agree. You know, they are looking at a bigger picture, a bigger package, you know, the overall perspective. What am I going to get? Okay, so if all of this is not there, then the package.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you go to a store, you want to buy something, you like what you see, then you go to the price. But if you don't like what you see, then you're trying to say, "Acha, कीमत तो पूछ लेते हैं, अगर ठीक होगा तो ले लेंगे." So that perspective, I agree with you completely.
And what is also happening is, you know, I feel that it's a passive job market, right? Because the jobs are in demand, the supply is limited, the cost is going up, and there are passive job seekers. And how a company presents the opportunity, and that's where the entire candidate's life cycle management comes into way. Because one employee today has 5 job offers or 7 job offers, right? So while he's speaking to you, you need to ensure that you have your hooks and engagement in place, because he's going to go and you know, also get attracted to somebody else. And if the other person has a stronger language, strong compelling story, and a stronger EVP, there you lose. Your funnel is then, you know, you're losing in that space. So
right. So I think, Mansi, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because you brought in, you know, a lot of variables in the discussion, right? So if you talk about something very important, which is employee value proposition, in a way we can say, you know, in marketing language we call it USP. You know, what is how, you know, what is your unique stuff? You know, how can I differentiate between a Colgate and Close-Up? Right? Is it the color, right? And now both are in red. Now what to do? So in that case, you know, especially since you're from talent acquisition, I also come from talent acquisition background. I really want to know, you know, Mansi, how did you really dealt with this cut through market? Because, you know, it's like top employers are playing the top game. All of them are doing what needs to be done. You know, they have the vendor, they have the agencies supporting them. They're doing everything. They have the best job descriptions at the place. They're using best of the platforms. Now, what do you think? What really worked in favor of you, and what really worked in favor of the success stories that you might have encountered in this 2 years? Because I have seen a lot of failed stories as well. You know, I know a lot of companies. I know a lot of people who couldn't really survive, who couldn't really get the business, who couldn't compete with the market, which is there. Especially the startups. Most of the startups failed because of it, because they couldn't get the talent. Where do you think, Mansi, really what really worked for you, and what do you think what will work for other people who are here with us today?
I think we are extremely lucky because, you know, fortunate for us, we still are averaging about 8 to 9% attrition. We don't have crazy attrition like 40%, 30% like other industry people are going through. And still, this is something that we are frowning on because, you know, we have moved from a 2% to a maybe 9%. So that journey itself, you know, is something that we are relooking at. And we are not saying that, okay, everything is okay. But I would say that, you know, for us, I think the challenge is to get the right talent. So for us, talent attraction and retention are both sides of the same coin. So we are seeing a little bit of rise in the infant attrition. That's where we are trying to kind of, you know, relook at our engagement, our employee experience journey, where we create more hooks, where to get, you know, talent in terms of gig employment, because people are looking for flexibility, right? So we're trying to get a workforce which is not just full-time, but we're looking at broad basing our talent continuum. So that is really helping, because for us, talent is not your 2%, 4% critical talent, like the language that, you know, we all have been speaking for the last decade, right? When we talk about developing a talent, we talk about hypo, which may be 2 or 3% in any organization. Here, we're talking about a talent continuum. So anybody who's working with us is a talent, right? So how do we look at that, and what percentage of our workers should be fixed, what should be fluid, what should be gig, is something as helping us to kind of meet the great movement or great resignation that you may call. So I think that is one, definitely. And second is, you know, we are constantly doing a light scrub on our employer value proposition. You know, we're trying to keep it authentic, we're trying to keep it compelling. We're doing a lot of communication, storytelling. And I believe it is not just storytelling, you have to also do a story making on your employer brand, because it has to be inside out. Because one is, you know, you need to have a very attractive brand, but if people are not living through that, then, you know, if the authenticity is somewhere lost. So I think this is some of the challenge, and these are good challenges to have. So which is what is helping us to kind of, you know, not get really carried away with the great resignation.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think as an HR, as a, as the community, we really have done well. We really have contributed. I think before pandemic, there are a lot of people who are asking, and I think we have been told even Rangoli HR, and everything. There were a lot of terms in the market, right? And how it really worked, in our favor is that when the time comes, we all delivered. Most of us delivered. So I have a common question to you all. We have seen there is a difference between India and across the world, right? The way we hire, like in India, we hire people with a kind of pedigree, like they are graduate, they are MBA, and they're high, and they come from certain background, and then only we'll hire them, right? If he's a software engineer, he's a software engineer. Most of the time, we'll not hire software engineer as a project manager or in a PMO role, unless there is an internal movement. Then it's a different deal. But mostly, when we are hiring external talent, we follow a certain pedigree. So this is my question to you all. When we compare this to the hiring that we do global, across the border, where we might be hiring a chef as a software engineer also, because he had a background in software development and he understands the technology, and we hire him as a software engineer. If we go to Philippines or Europe, we hire people from different backgrounds for different roles, and we value their contribution and experience, what they have done in the previous role, which was very different from what we are hiring for. But do you think because of this gig economy, right, and people who are coming in, our entire talent landscape is changing and the horizon is now getting wider and wider because of one, talent limited availability, and also because of the talent, the way we are now reaching out to talent for various reasons. So maybe this question to all of you, and especially to, I think I would like to get answer also from Dr. Pratima, because how you're preparing talent is also now things are changing. So can I have a quick response from all of you here on this?
Yes, I'll quickly, I've got three main things to say here. The first is when you're looking at gig, the MBA students, etc., they're not very keen on gig right now. Okay, but they the kind of role that they are looking at. So they are more committed not to the employment, but to their career. Please understand the difference, the shift in their mindset, which means that any organization, any role, no, they're committed to their professional growth. Okay, so that's become more important. The second point here, I've also written quite a few research papers on gig economy because we've been studying it here since it's changing the landscape completely, employment. When you're looking at the gig economy, there is people at the initial stages today are picking 2-3 different options. Okay, and moonlighting has become, some organizations are actually saying it's all right, and some companies are saying no, full-time employment, which means you have to be with us full-time, and the rest of the time be at home, don't work for anybody else. So those are changing facets, and fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know how you would like to put it, but that's the way this crowd is changing. They give a lot of importance to work-life balance. They give a lot of importance to, I want to do what I like to do. I'm not classifying it as right or wrong, not the right thing to do. This is not how we did it. All of that is different, right? This is just the way they are. So they like that balance. I've had friends who have companies who've come back to me and said, because we were on lockdown and you could work from home. Now this lady stays, or this gentleman stays just a kilometer away. And every time I ask him to come to office, him or her, they threaten to resign. Okay. So, and
they
very
just don't
much so
threaten,
in the
they
IT
resign.
space.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So I think the better ones threaten first before resigning. Yeah. In the IT space, this has become a huge issue, right? So there is the fabric of employment was anyways changing even before COVID. Okay. But after COVID, it sort of forced the pace.
I get it. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it just, the transition accelerated.
Exactly. I think you made very relevant point, but I would like to get some quick input. So,
Yogesh,
Smrita,
just to add on, because there was a very when you talked about the fact that we used to peg people, right? We say that, hey, you're a software engineer, you're a software engineer.
Yes.
And as Dr. Pratima also rightly said, that this was changing. So because being in the tech space now, we are in the data and analytics space in Percept. So for us, and where Abhijit, the point you made about, if I'm building a chip, I should understand where it goes. So for us, that it's no longer about just the technology. It is about understanding the customer and the customer's customer, because then only you can build the value. And what so like what in InfoSets, what we are doing is we're giving that flexibility to our employees. We're saying you decide your career path. We will enable. So these are the paths which are available for you. We will make it easy for you to decide from today, from say a developer, you believe that you want to become, get into a domain, you want to get into business consulting. So to make that shift, these are the things which you should develop. You develop it and we are going to actually enable you. So which is where organizations are also slowly evolving. And we actually say, I would say that I would probably hire a doctor for a, pharma client, because the doctor will be able to make me understand why a certain analytics is important and what is the purpose of it. So, that way, I think the industry is also evolving, and we are stopping pegging people into just one saying, hey, you became a software engineer, you're a software engineer for life.
I would like to add a
Yeah.
point over here, Yogesh.
Yes, Abhijit.
I always feel that one of my mentors, you can say, my early days, he used to say, we become what we hire. So if you want to hire, become smarter, you need to hire smarter people under you, so that your workload is distributed and you can focus on the better things ahead. That's one aspect. Second is, whenever we are looking for hiring, we look at two things basically: can do and will do attitude. One is a person can do that job. Now, what you said is the gig workers or some people from the different cultures. I have worked in the European market as well as the US market. In both the areas, it's like I understand within US and Europe, it's like the current work is important. What you are doing, whether can you do that job or no. You are not even allowed to ask what is your current CTC or all that things. It's not official. You cannot ask that as per this. But in India, it's like we always try to see what was your past CTC, and on top of that, we try to give 10%, 20%, or 30% hike.
Yeah.
So that's how it looks like.
Yeah.
But I feel that if in today's, because of the COVID, right, it brought in a lot of better changes also for the employee market. And employers also, till this time, it was most of the time, it was like, I would not say a particular word, but it was like trying to extract whatever is possible from every resource that is there. And it was like a body selling kind of a thing. That was what the aspect was. But a lot of things have changed now. And even employees are getting multiple options and all. So we have to look as a win-win situation in both the areas. In today's market, if you look at, there are a lot of gender biasness things have also been gone away, like in the earlier stages. Like in today's world, it's like we are encouraging a lot of females to have more job opportunities, who are coming back from maternity, who are coming back from a break of 3 to 4 years of their family thing. So those people are also having experience, but it doesn't mean that they are not on a break for a couple of years. They don't know that thing. But within a short span of time or some trainings and things, people can pick up different opportunities, different roles, different skill sets. So I feel a person, if he can do that job or is willing to do that job, we should give an opportunity and make it a great person, because that person will stick with that particular role for a longer duration, because he's just emerging into it rather than just quitting.
Yeah, I think Abhijit, you brought in. Yes, I'm coming to you, Manshi. I'll just add on to this question. Yeah,
I just have, very often what is happening is, as an HR community, we see a train wreck happening, but we don't do anything about it. So like all of us, and I'm not talking about people on this group, we all know that there is a shortage of talent, and we're trying to, have a very diverse mix in terms of who we hire. And all of what we have spoken is very valid. But what happens is, when the rubber meets the road, when we are saying that we are going to hire the gig talent, and this gig talent could be as brilliant and as competent as a full-time employee. But what the gig talent needs is the same policy, same framework, same rewards, same treatment. A whole ecosystem in the company has to change for you to kind of absorb this talent, who is going to really help you overcome your talent issue, right? So it is not just about hiring gig talent. It's about deploying them rightly. It's about getting the framework right. And also understanding which is the catchment area. So I think there are many problems which is yet to get solved. So while everybody's talking about gig and, there's a lot of white papers happening, but I don't, unless we kind of solve the second problem, it will always be a problem. Nothing will move then, is what I feel.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Manshi, on this. And, I think like Dr. Pratima spoke about moonlighting. So in gig economy, we'll see, I think this is one of the solutions that we have for moonlighting, and especially, in an era where, we can see everything. We can figure out, if somebody is working with 3 employers or 4 employers or doing some extra work, you can figure it out. Now there are ways through which these things are visible. So, I would like to take this. We have a question also here from a participant, but I will take this question after the one question that I'll ask everyone, each one of you, and then we'll take this question. Is about how, we exploited this entire thing. Especially, I've seen few employers who did better than others. When we go and meet our friends in the industry, we see some of them cribbing. And we see some of them are talking about their success story, and they have been able to hire few of the best talent in the market. They have been able to retain talent, which they've developed, and with all what they've done. So I would like to understand, what would you suggest? How can we how we have exploited this pandemic era, of transformation in our favor, right? So I'm sure we have done many things, but certainly I would like to, just jot down and for the benefit of all. Yeah, maybe we can start with you, Dr.
Yes. Okay, so let the professor speak. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah. No, so I've just got 2-3 things in terms of how the whole thing is going to change. And so I've got 3 examples that I just want to quickly quote. One, I want to quote the example of symbiosis as an employer. Okay. So, a long ago research paper that I had done, and then I also saw it, that whenever there is a downturn or there is a problem, the people that continue to do what they were doing before actually emerge better at the end of the whole cycle or whatever is the crisis that was going on. Okay, so laying off people, cutting down the work strength or whatever, in spite of not knowing clearly. So I think symbiosis as an employer, we didn't even get rid of the daily wage people. That's how how clearly it was managed. That was one. Second, on the part of the students and as faculty, how did we adjust? I don't know if you guys will agree, but I really think faculty have been COVID warriors in more ways than one, because we continue to teach in spite of everything, and quickly had to adapt. So much adaptation for academicians that are, so stuck to their way of working. So all of that, the students and managing all of that changed. And then the way we inducted the students, the way we got them in, all of that also altered. And in the third place, in terms of how we are adapting, how we are understanding all of that, after 25 years of drawing a salary, I chose to quit my job and started off a startup, which is in the edtech space, largely in coaching and employability testing. I thought career coaching was a big requirement. Okay. Lo and behold, it's employability testing, pre-hire screening, for which, my startup is less than a year old or less than 6 months old. And I already have 3 clients who are doing pre-hire testing, which essentially means they're trying to fit the interest, because it's not just employer brand. Okay, that candidate, if you want to hold on to him, one, you pay them well and whatever, I think everybody is competitive as far as that is concerned. The other thing is, try and give them a role that aligns to their interest. Okay, and try and understand whether they would like to do what you're probably proposing, asking them to. So that mix that is there, right? A lot of employers are now moving in that direction. I'm sure some of you must be doing that as well.
Yes, Doctor.
Which is try and understand the people that we are hiring and give them a role that they would probably be more interested in. Then we can hold on to them longer and make them feel more satisfied. So I think, yes, I agree with you guys completely that HR is doing a fab job, understanding how their mindset is changing, and and then design a system that can take care of it. Because I mean, this crowd has graduated from their undergrad and from their MBA and whatever else online. They have joined online.
So I think, Dr. Pratima, you made really few important points, and I would like to take, what you said. I want to build on this, and I would like to take quick views from the rest of them as well. And so maybe can we go to Smrita? Do you have a point, here, like how did you exploit it, as Dr. Pratima mentioned, like this situation in your favor, especially in last 2 years?
No, I would not say exploit, but yeah, we adapted.
Adapted, transformation, yes. And do you think it is going to continue for times to come? Or again, we'll go back in an era where we will adapt to new things in next 3 years or something? The way we have done this time, I think, normally it would have taken, us 10 years to actually adapt what we have been able to adapt in 2 years. Yeah. So what is your view on this?
I think COVID was a disruptive change, which, like you said, accelerated what would have happened over 10 years or 15 or a decade or two in 2 years, and which actually made us adapt to a very new way of working. And, and now this flexibility is there to stay. More and more organizations are adopting a flexible, like we have adopted a hybrid workplace. We said, I think you guys said that if you tell somebody to come to office, so we are looking at offices as more as places of collaboration. And so where, our employees should come together, you should have fun when you come to office. You should look forward to, in fact, we had we are all, the entire organization is going to Agra together. We are 1,200 plus employees. We are all going to Agra for a retreat. So, we're having a vacation as an entire company put together, because we believe that that's what it should be now, that we actually come together. We use those 3 days to get to know each other. Then we go back. We keep coming to offices every 2 to 3 days. So yeah, we are kind of still, it's a learning path, but yeah, definitely it's a journey is where I would put it. We still don't know how it's going to work out, but a lot of systems, I mean, I'm looking at how can I get the sentiment of the employees every day, because some of them are remote. If I have no idea how they're feeling. Are they actually integrated into the team? How I do onboarding has to be now changed, you know. So it's a lot of change to which we are now, like you said, we transformed at that time, but now we're actually trying to upgrade everything in HR, how we interact with people over a period of time.
Right, Smrita. I think, just on a lighter note, I just remember, something somewhere like, nowadays when we are going to office, actually we need to write an out of office mail, saying that today I'm in office, so please expect delay in response. Yeah. So, okay. So maybe, I would like to quickly ask this question that we have, which on the chat window, where we have VB who asked us, like, how can legacy organization embark on employer brand building journey? And what is the starting point, and how do you build a good EVP? And that brings us to a very important point here, which I would like each one of you to answer. Look, as an employer, I think one of the best things that we have done over in the pandemic era is how can we communicate, either in terms of interviews or communicating to an employee or meetings and everything from Zoom to all possible platforms. We moved here and there. But idea is, how have we, like previously, the way we were communicating our employer brand was through our offices. Like we had these swanky offices, people were coming in, living, experiencing us, but now it has changed. So how have you been able to build your brand as an employer? How, what differentiation that you brought in? And Manashi spoke about the EVP, right? So how have you been able to build your EVP in this era, and have you done it consciously, or it was just an unconscious effort, but it just happened? How it really worked for you? Maybe can we start with you, Abhijit, and then go to Mansi, and then Smrita, and then Dr. Pratima? Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So basically, see, being humans is given, okay, but keeping our humanity is a choice, right? And we are always known for the decisions or choices that we make, which will define us and which will take us the main actual true essence of our life into what directions we are going ahead with. So with this thing, imagine like we might remember everyone says that, okay, which was the first who is the first person to land on moon? Everyone knows. Second person doesn't know, third person doesn't know. So the EVP starts from there itself, like the first day, the first interaction with the candidate, right? The employee value proposition starts over there, not when a person joins an organization and becomes an employee, right? If you give them the red carpet experience from the day one, when the recruiter is joining, the recruiter is interacting with the candidate, and then the journey starts altogether. So with these things, I feel so that candidates should be overwhelmed first. Second thing, it's not about a culture that we want to just give them, okay, this is our culture, this is all the high class, high end tech things that we have, or this is the swanky office that we have. It's not that. It is an experience, it is a feeling that we always give to our employees. Why do you feel in a team when there are 10 people, some people connect with each other, some people don't connect with each other, right? It's because of the personal relationship or the personal bonding. So now let us see how many topics or how many things are there that this person will get attracted towards within an organization. So there comes this engaged employee. So in this factor, if a person, if an employee is feeling that, okay, I need to be engaged, what are the other aspects that I can get engaged to? Is it something that HR wants to do just because we have to showcase some 10 activities and that's what we need to do? Is it something that we have a customized groups that we can have these people entered into those groups, or can be trying to create brand ambassadors between each project? Most of the time, when we look at employer branding, it is some of the top folks going and posting some articles or something over there on a company, and everyone, the internal marketing team, make sure that this is posted. That's it. What about the other employees who have done small efforts, and those small efforts have led to a better results or greater achievements? We need to enhance that. We need to embrace that part also. And as a person or as a HR, it's like most of the times it's like reactive thinking or reactive actions, whereas we have to be more proactive. When a resignation happens, that is where everyone jumps in. The manager comes in picture, the HR comes in picture, and the senior management comes, a salesperson comes in picture. Everyone showcase that person as such a bigger picture about that individual person. Why not to analyze those kind of areas well in advance, like 3 months, 6 months, well in advance, that what can lead to attrition? What are the reasons that this person can leave? Are we really trying to tap into those? And if those things are addressed, then the employee value proposition, what we're talking about, will come very handy over here and will definitely solve the attrition cases. Like it can definitely dip on the part of percentage of resignations. And not only that, but also because as a branding of that particular person, individual, it will create some kind of sense of some personal achievements that person can showcase in organization and lead by example, or towards his family members, or towards his friends and outer circle as well. And today's well-being of employee has been catered to, but important is well-being of the family also is important. If you treat that employee as your own family member or someone very close to you, the difference will automatically come in productivity, as well as if the person is going to resign, if at all, if he's getting better salary also, he or she will come and be open to you what are his or her challenges, and maybe you can retain that person over there itself.
Oh, that's true, Abhijit. I think you brought in a lot of important points. And, I would just like to add, as you talk about the family well-being, just a day before yesterday, I saw that my wife's colleague, she was going for a maternity leave. And all the employees, like all their team together was celebrating they actually organized a baby shower, for the colleague who was going on leave. So it's so nice of them, I think that, even I got touched, though I'm just not related, but I can clearly see the vibe that is coming in. And you clearly mentioned that the experience is more important, So what you get, you just get, but when you get experience, you never forget. So Manshi, I'll just come to you with the same question, how.
So I think I'll quickly kind of, do a bullet point on this. See, we all know that the workplace was always digitized, right? Pandemic didn't make the workplace digitized, but the workforce suddenly had to go digital. Now, I think for us, we realized that it's going to be a problem because, we are a large organization spread across so many geographies. And no matter what happens, the newspaper has to reach your home at 7 o'clock, right? And especially at a time when the attention time is even getting shorter, right? So what we had to kind of quickly reinvent is how do we kind of create the same, see, as human beings, the triggers of touch, feel, see cannot be replicated in a virtual environment. So when you are working hybrid, and we also have gone hybrid, and we have the 60-20-20 rule across the organization. So for the hybrid workplace, it was important for us to develop productivity tools. Because when you are working hybrid, the less discrimination you have for somebody who's coming to office. The person who's coming to office gets more face time with the manager, vis-a-vis the person who's working at home. So we had to look at the fairness quotient. We had to look at how do we harmonize these policies across all kind of workforce that are working with us. So there's, we kind of reduce and mitigate the discontent that exists in pockets. So that was very important. The second was we build on optimizing every role, and basis that we looked at our hiring. And basis that we looked at the talent at the gig ecosystem, what kind of talent pool we need to build in. And we are working on pipeline, because it's very easier said than done. Everybody in TA will say we have a pipeline, we have a very healthy pipeline, but getting a pipeline in place where you can hire the person if the next person is not there is easier said than done. So consciously we are doing that, and that has kind of, helped in arresting the attrition. The third more important is how do you re-architect the roles? Because, a pandemic has realized that some of the roles which were earlier maybe, work from office can be work from home forever. So how do you constantly revisit and re-architect these roles is very important from a talent point of view. So I guess a bunch of these is helping us.
That's true, Mansi. I think you spoke about pipeline, so again, being a TA professional, I think it's a science, right? Which is very deep, This is like, so anyway, but it's a very
holy
long
grail of HR, yeah. Pipeline.
Yes. This is like making an Inception movie, and you're just going from one step to another, but you really don't know how deep you need to go with there. But yeah, Smrita, maybe I'll take a quick input from you and Pratima, because we are running, I think we have another 8 to 9 minutes to go. So I would like to take one more question from all of you. So, but Smrita and Dr. Pratima, I would like to take your views on this question.
Sure, Yogesh. I think, like you mentioned on an EVP, how to build an EVP is the question which we were looking at. So for me, I believe, and like Abhijit said, that nobody remembers the second person who came in. So Abhijit, you're very good at storytelling. I must say that, because I'm kind of reusing the examples because they're resonating with me. But I believe that an EVP is extremely personal to any organization. So it's not a one size fits all that we take 1, 2, 3 steps and then we are able to. So as an organization, it's extremely important that when you're building that, you first introspect, you look inside you decide what values, what is it that you value, what is your purpose? Because when you actually have understood yourself, you know where you want to go, what's your purpose, you can very easily articulate your EVP. And as Dr. Pratima said, that might be different, because for a person who's coming in, she said, a young graduate, like you said, they're looking for a career right now. But somebody who's actually, much more mature in their career. For them, family, because for them, they have kids, they have everything else. So for them, there are other things which suddenly come into play. So when you design your EVP overall, then you kind of, customize it as per the personas of the various people which you have within the organization. And then you build in your benefits, you build in your talent pipeline, you say, how do you actually make ambassadors? Because, it's such an interconnected world that I believe that the best ambassador is word of mouth. So your people should be talking about it and saying, hey, you know what, I love this place. And how do I make it digital? Because the office is no longer there to experience. So when I log in also, and, in fact, we are discussing with a lot of people on how can we actually bring out our EVP online also, so that people understand that this is what we stand for and where we want to go. That's more important, because for people it's the journey, it's the purpose which actually excites them more than the salary.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Smrita. And if I have to add on, EVP is certainly very, it's something. It's not something that maybe we have a word around it. But if you look at traditional organization, I think the father of EVP in India was nothing but Narayana Murthy, right? The way he, before that, working in a company we never knew, and suddenly, we got to know, how it's working in Infosys, and all of us, we were students at that time. We all wanted to work for a company like Infosys, because of the kind of value it brings in. And I think we have been like from ages talking about Tata, Tata Group, Tata Steel, how if you get into Tata Steel, your life is set, So, and there are stories around it. Today, if you go to Gujarat and you go to Jamnagar, and you will hear stories, how great it is when you are working for Reliance Refinery, right? So in everywhere you go, and just forget about these large employers, if you, even within a small village, if you see one small unit, and they will tell you how great it is to work for this company because there are stories around it. And people build these stories. It's just that how you can bring everything together, like Abhijit said, it's about collective experience of everyone, right? It's not just the experience of one person. And I think as Dr. Pratima also brought this in, but I would like to, I will ask a question and then I want everybody to answer. And it's a last question is, and I would like to start with Dr. Pratima again, especially with respect to, our community, which is human resource, right? Talent acquisition. And we have been talking about digitization and everything, and we are talking about employer branding in great resignation era. Do you think as a human resource, we are still lacking that marketing mindset, right? Like if you look at the sales team today, they have gone overboard, right? So let's say if I'm talking about a holiday in Goa, I will get the next advertisement that I'll get on my mobile is a holiday in Goa. Right. So now think about it, they have gone far overboard. Like, why can't we as a human resource, we are not talking about, the moment if I'm talking about getting a job in, let's say, this company, or maybe getting a job in Java, then why I'm not getting an advertisement from, different companies that, yes, you have a job available. So I'm just thinking, I'll start with Dr. Pratima. Are we not really, is the institution are really thinking about that, where the market is going, how we are going forward, and we need some different skills what we have today, or maybe what we need today in the market. Like in talent acquisition, frankly, I can tell you, I really need engineers to come and join me. Really, I don't need MBAs anymore. So what do you think about this, Dr. Pratima?
So, the first, let me just clear a couple of things. One, my PhD is in marketing. So I'm a marketing professor. But yes, I've been with SAMHRD was with SAMHRD for 18 years. So, HR, managing people, I think no matter which function you are, I think that's the most important thing. Have the HR folks not taken to marketing? I would not agree. I feel that they have. That is why today, if we are talking about employer branding, we are talking about using that to retain. We are talking about a talent acquisition team that works almost like a sales team and has targets on a daily, monthly, weekly basis, right? So many calls and everything else. I think we are evolving, right? The entire space is evolving. The only thing is this particular crowd is very digital, right? They'd be more comfortable messaging rather than speaking. You know, they chat with 10 friends in the evening. Son, so I can say that he chats instead of chat on the phone or meet in person, right? So this is just a different crowd, different kind of people. Haven't we evolved? Well, what does it take to do remarketing? What does it take to, you know, drop cookies when people start to look for jobs? But I think that is what people are already doing. So if you go and hunt for a particular job or a particular type of company, it will show up more of those things and more of those options to you. And there's a whole bunch of you from technology field. I can very clearly say that the technology is assisting HR to a large extent. You know, forums are something that most organizations have today. And larger the organization, you definitely need your own forum, chat forum, you know, speaking to people and all of those kind of things. So I don't completely agree with you, Yogesh. I think we are, the HR fraternity is quite clued in. And because, you know, the Great Resignation hit us all of a sudden, you know, for academicians, it's worked really wonders because, you know, you came running to pick up our students, which is really great. I mean, I'm in touch with principals of ITIs and they don't have students left. They've started putting a pecking order in place for people hiring from the ITIs. Okay, so
you know, just not ITI, you know, you go anywhere, you know, and nowadays we don't receive callback from colleges, you know, we have to follow up. So
precisely. So I don't think, but the fact that you are saying that colleges are not calling back and we have to follow up, which means you are following up, right? I don't want you to put the blame.
I think no. Look,
I think they're doing a fab job.
Yeah. Okay, let's like quick views since we are running out of time. Maybe we'll do it for the maximum 2 minutes. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Manashi.
Very quickly, I would say, you know, in the last 2 years, if you have heard a very credible story of HR people, it's also because, you know, the HR people are no longer behaving like HR people. They're behaving like the best salespeople, the best marketeers. So I don't think I think the problem is when we speak the HR language, the HR terminology. That's when we box ourselves and we stop being effective. Other than that, I think the HR people make the great marketeers. I mean, today we are marketing our most important resource, which is talent. Whether we are getting them or whether we are retaining them or whether we are, you know, nurturing them. So I think there can't be a better marketer than HR person.
Yes. Yeah, Smrita, Abhijit, any last inputs?
I think I agree with everybody that it's not that HR is not marketing. And, you know, as Manashi and even Dr. Pratima said that I think we are marketing a lot, from an attraction perspective, but we're also focusing on the marketing within because there's you have to also continuously keep telling people who are internal also and keep reiterating on why or what is it that the company is, why should they continue with the company, how it's going to offer them. So that's definitely there, Yogesh.
That's true. And Abhijit, maybe if you can answer, there's one question here on the chat. Along with that, if you can answer this question, it's talking about the social media policy, right? And you know, I remember a quick story, like again, long back when my father, the first car I bought, you know, and gave it to my father. And he was driving it really, really very fast, you know. And I was just asking him, Papa, itna tej kyun chala rahe ho? And he is like, isme to brake hai, you know. And because the car he has driven before never had that kind of brakes, you know. So, and you know, I realized that's a very important thing that I learned on that day. You know, you can only drive car faster once you have really good brakes. So, and that's why we need good policies. And somebody just brought in a very important point: social media policies. And sometimes, you know, these social media policies in most of the companies are very restrictive, you know, which says ye kiya to ye kar denge, ye kiya to ye kar denge. However, we actually need to encourage, we need to create a policy that actually create an environment where people can do. So here the question that we have is, you know, how can we create an environment, you know, where we can actually build an employer brand with all that digital mindset and everything. And yes, the question which we had, Abhijit.
So I'll answer the first question that you had brought up. So basically, see, how much ever we talk about HR being the marketing person, the sales person, or the counselors. Okay, HR is a combination of these three roles. Okay, because I, at my earlier stages of my career as a recruiter, I had to sell the candidate to the hiring manager. And same thing, I had to sell the company to the candidate. So that was selling. Then marketing is like making that what are the goodie points of that candidate and representing it to the hiring manager. And then counseling the candidate that, okay, this is the best job for you. So all three kinds of a mixture. But what I feel is, end of the day, business decisions are driven through revenue, right? Whatever comes across, how can we showcase as an HR, as a seat on the across the table, where we are showcasing it not as a cost center, but as a profit center. If we are able to deliver that part, and if you're able to showcase those aspects, I'm sure any CEO in any organization would not stop us from being more productive in a way that we want to highlight things across. And whatever we're talking about, like HR has done this, branding, and all the CEOs, everyone else, CFOs, everyone will definitely approve the cost for the branding aspects that we want to utilize. Because when it goes to the sales, it goes to the, like, you want to brand the product of the company or brand the services of the company, because they feel revenue is going to come in from that, right? And that's what the ROI comes in place. Now, what is the ROI that we are trying to showcase? When it comes to HR, that ROI is not measurable in terms of the revenue actually. But if we try to showcase those aspects, by retention, what's the cost, by employee engagement, what are the productivity level, how it rises, and these all things can be achieved through surveys and continuous feedback with the feedback mechanism with employees and the managers and the output towards it. I feel in those cases, definitely when revenue is showcased, we are the winners over here. Coming back to the next aspect about social media branding, where employees should give a free hand towards it. If you look at the current policies of the government also, right? Twitter had a free hand towards things, but governments are putting restrictions towards it, because it does not create, it has to have some restrictions towards it, right? So a lot of companies have their own workplace for Facebook, right? So they can use over there, they can type, they can write comments, they can put across their feedback, whatever is their positive or what they felt about it, and changes can be done towards it. But publicly going outside and trying to defame something, an organization, just because of one person, maybe because of your manager, or because of your employee, other team member, or because of some one aspect of policy which did not suit you as an individual, right? That can create or hamper the whole reputation towards other employees also. So it should not happen that ek gandi machli pure talab ko ganda karte hai. Waisa, that situation should not happen. And that's where these breaks or these restrictions on the social media postings and things should be there, that what we want to post across outside. Yeah. When we are posting it positive, everyone likes, everyone shares it, everyone comments it, right? If you have a concern or an issue that needs to be addressed on an individual basis with that person, you should do. There are platforms like HR is there, right? If any other thing is there, post community is there, any multiple other things are there, ICC community is there. So in that way, all those things can be sorted. But if you want to really take it out to the market just because you have a grudge or something, then that's wrong, right? So those things we need to avoid. We need to stop it over there and itself. And that's where the maturity comes in place, how we can address these things and situations. And again, I will go back. It is not about reactive actions. It is about proactive action, that we should not come to such kind of a situation where the damage control is very difficult. It's better prevention is better than cure. That's what I can say.
Right, Abhijit. And, that brings us to, we have one more question here. Concise newsletter, everything highlighting 3 success stories of citizen, some engagement activities on a website work better than building an EVP. Okay, so maybe I think, do we have time to take that question? I just want to ask Ritesh, Nanish, can we
Yes, Yogesh.
Yes, please.
Okay. So look, I would just like to add to this question, and I invite anyone who would like to answer this. I hope you all can go through with the chat. So I think so there are two ways to build an EVP. We spoke about an EVP, how to build an EVP as a communication channel. Also, we spoke about how we can different social media posts, and we can channelize the social media posts by individuals. And also we can create stories, like there are companies who are creating, because I know Adnan, I think you guys are working with so many companies around. I know very well, and you are bringing in really good stories from the companies. You have your spots working within companies, and even I work with the company, even within my role also, I know that how we build stories from within and we present it. So what do you think, that is there the one thing that will gonna work, or do you think that we need to do everything to get this done? Because you just can't do one thing and think that the employer brand will be in place, or do you have to just build it once, or you have to sustain it over a period of all the time? Because so what do you think about it? Just a quick input, since we are anyway running out of time. Yeah.
And from what I feel is, I think, like I said, storytelling is one thing, but story making is very important, especially in the times that we are living, and especially inside out story. So what I think that's a great idea, but has to be sustained and continued. But what is very important is to be authentic. See, you need to be authentic of who you are. And even I think your stories, and everybody would have a personal journey, personal story, and context will be very different. So if the leaders are authentic, people who are telling the stories are authentic, the people who are joining or are looking at that will also kind of get the sense that, okay, there is, it is authentic place for me to work. Because everywhere, I think that's what the people look at. They want, real stories, and they want a workplace where, yeah.
True, the best thing I think about social media is once you're fake, people can just see through.
Yeah, and that's where the dent of EVP happens, right? So you rather do it simple, but keep it authentic is, I think, is a very simple message I want to give.
And I think out of the 6 of us screen, we can see stories written in the background of Adnan. Yeah, so yes, so
the conviction can only come through your personal experience. When you are having your personal experience, you are speaking it out flawlessly. One. Second thing, and that emits, it's like an aura that you are emitting from yourself, right? So it comes through your body language, it comes through your voice, it comes through your eyes, it comes through everything. It's seen everywhere. And that conviction can only come when you experience it by yourself. So I always feel that experiences are the things that if you give any human being, they will never forget it.
Yeah, right, Abhijit. Yeah, Smrita,
just to quickly add on, I mean, I believe that, it's not just about saying it, it's about doing it also. So when it's very easy to make an EVP statement, but your benefits, how you're actually training, your career growth, everything has to get aligned to it. Because then people will experience it, and then they will talk about it. Then you have to create these channels where you can, get those stories in, and then you market it. It doesn't start from marketing, and it's about actually imbibing that in the fabric of the organization so that people experience it and then they themselves talk about it. And then you use marketing or branding to actually get it out and let everybody know that, hey, you know what, this is actually what we do and what we stand for.
Yeah, just like, if we want to look good, we need to have a healthy body, right? So if it's not, no matter what you wear, what you do, you will look the way it is, right? So that's great, and let's take the last few words from the professor. Yeah. So as being said, so and then I think I'll hand it over to Mr. Ritesh or Nanish. Please, Dr. Fatima.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And yes, stories are and a brand. So a story can be written in a day, but a brand is built over years. Okay, it's not something that happens overnight. You do one thing and you think you're building one part of it. It doesn't work like that. It's like the 7 blind men and the elephant. It doesn't work like that. You need to see the whole picture, and you need to see it consistently, and you need to keep saying it consistently. एक स्टोरी लिख देंगे तो अच्छा होगा क्या, सोशल मीडिया पे पोस्ट कर देंगे तो अच्छा होगा क्या, अच्छा होगा, but you'll have to do a lot more. And even if, I agree with Manshi, keep it simple, but have those 2-3 messages, and those 2-3 messages need to go out consistently from everyone. It's not just the organization that believes in the brand. Each one of the employees is also a brand ambassador for that particular company. And therefore, the way you deal and the way you work and the way you will speak outside also goes to say, so brand advocates, all the employees are brand advocates, including each one of us for the brands that we represent. So I think employer brands are not built just because you did some social media marketing and SEO and whatever. It's nothing like that. It's a story that is built over time. And however fast you may be, it yet takes time, and you have to put your whole and soul into it and put effort into it to take it forward.
Wow, very rightly said, and I think few word of wisdom which we just had. I think a lot of learning, friends. Thank you, I must say, for joining in. I think we have reached to the end now. I would really like to thank all the panel members, participants who stayed with us. And I think I really enjoyed this discussion. There's a lot of learning that even I have been able to get from this. And I'm sure all of us have really got a piece of learning here that we would be able to act on once we'll go out of it. But thank you all. And thank you, Ritesh, Rahul, Adnan and Rainish and our entire team at ASMA and Cobus and InnoServe who gave us this opportunity. So over to you, Dr. Ritesh, Adnan, Rainish, who would like to take it up and take it forward.
Thanks to Yogesh for managing, a whole bunch of HR people, imagine.
The moderation was wonderful, Yogesh. You really stick to the timelines, and you had everyone's pulse, actually, trying to reach who can speak what. So that was really well coordinated. Thank you.
Not to mention all the anecdotes and analogies he had. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And I would like to take this ahead with the note that stories, that what Dr. Pratima has said, that stories can be made in a day, but to build a brand, it takes years. And considering this subject, it is really very necessary that to come out of this subject with such an experienced panel. So I would like to thank all the panelists to bring out such an important subject with different aspects of this subject, different dimensions of the HR as marketers, HR as and how the employer branding is important, the role of social media, the digital workplace, moonlight working, and all the things. So by this, I would like to take this session ahead, and I would like to invite. Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to invite Mr. Adnan Lokhandwala. He is a SVP and business head at Cobus to speak about the employer branding aspect of the Cobus. So welcome, Adnan. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nainish. I think, first of all, a great discussion, guys. And I'm not over here to talk about employer branding at all. I'm not an HR professional, but I represent an organization who has spent the past 5, 6, 7 years working with other HR professionals and amplifying their employer brand. When we talk about Cobus is a core employer brand communication agency, and that is what I actually want. So I'm not over here. Just a couple of points that I would like to highlight where everyone has actually spoken about. Abhijit spoke about culture. Dr. Pratima spoke about how important the brand and the package, both of them, are together. Even when we talk about the current situation where we are with this entire hype that startups and unicorns have, the students still prefer a legacy organization compared to something else. I think those were great insights. Smrita spoke about how important it is in terms of the entire passive job seekers today, and what Mansi kept repeating in terms of story making, which is more important compared to actually storytelling. And I absolutely agree about all of this. But I just want to come to one small point, which Yogesh mentioned about previously how the entire aspiration was for working with Tatas and the larger employers. I was just interacting with the CHRO of one of those enterprise organizations, and he actually just made a statement that, Adnan, I am no more in a situation where employees join me and they leave either when they retire or they pass away. That was a concept which I have actually lived my entire life about. And I think that makes actual sense in terms of, if you see the journey of how an employee has been over the generations as such. As in, if we see the Industrial Revolution, it was more about survival, where the employees wanted to just survive. If we talk about the Information Revolution, it was more about standard of living. But I think today, where we are, the overall social revolution that we are in, I think it is more about quality of living, the quality of life. And I think that is the time where every person, every individual is looking at themselves and taking an informed decision. What is in it for me? What is the betterment for me eventually? And I think that is something that everyone has addressed over the past 2 years, prioritized that particular aspect, and eventually brought the employees to the center stage. I think it is no more driven by the employer, but it is more now an equal focus on an employee and an employer together. I'm talking about all of this. I think, and even one point which I think Dr. Pratima said, and Abhijit resounded, that today HR are jack of all. They're not just HR. They are even in sales. They are even in marketing. They are even in counseling. But I think the one place where we actually come in and actually support organizations is in the entire story making aspect of it, where we need to have a consistent outreach in terms of an overall employer brand. And today, a bigger fraction of the job seeker relies on employer branding to cut through the noise and determine the opportunity that is actually worth responding to. I think that is very important today. And that is the main purpose of why employer and amplified employer brand actually makes a lot of sense. It is very critical towards the engagement of your passive candidates, people who are not actively looking out for a job right now, how you can entice them, how you can make them curious to know about your employer brand. And eventually, when we look at an overall employer brand, we actually divide it into 3 aspects. One is things you can control, one is things you can directly influence, and one is things you can indirectly influence. I think these are the 3 constituents of how we go about creating an employer brand. So when we talk about your job listings, your career website, your blogs, your articles, your candidate communication, your culture, your corporate values, purpose, vision, these are all things which an organization controls and can be focused upon. Then we talk about social media activities. We are talking about company reviews. We are talking about employee stories, employee advocacy. These are all things which can be directly influenced. And eventually we talk about the indirect influencers as well, which is the public perception and the awards and accolades. I think these all eventually make up what an employer brand is. And I think that is the place where we come in as a dedicated employer brand agency and work through it. And I think there was this question in terms of whether we can do a newsletter. I think today, one newsletter in a month is not sufficient enough, to be very honest. The amount of noise that is there externally, you need to be heard. But even coming back to Manasi's point, that you need to be authentic. So whatever you are talking about has to be based on facts. And facts is something which has to continuously come out of. So I think it has to be a huge balance. between the overall aspect in terms of how you want to position it, how you want to go about it. For example, a legacy organization might not go very heavy on recruitment, but a startup will go on in terms of recruitment. So I think what each one is in terms of their own perception and position today, I think that drives an employer brand going ahead. So I think I won't take much of time. I think thank you so much, everyone. Very wise words. Thank you for the opportunity to come over here and discuss together. Yeah, Nainish.
Thank you, Adnan. Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the participants, all the panelists, and all our team members, all our partners to join this session. And I would like to take the opportunity to tell all the participants that please check the feedback, fill the feedback form which is in the chat box. And I request all of you to check all our Facebook, social media pages, our websites for future and further events. By this, I can say that this session for today has been over. And thank you everyone. Thank you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Adnan.
Thank you so much.
Very, very, very interesting perspective you shared in the end, which kind of stitched the entire story. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Learning from you all.